Now, I think today we're on the brink of a civilization-wide catastrophe, and the church's civilization-wide catastrophe, and it's really the problem. Well, we've antagonised the Russians by saying, well, look, we're going to bring Ukraine, which is on the borders of your nation, into NATO, the very place where armies traditionally go through to attack Russia, and we've been constantly promising them this, and the Russians said, no, don't do this, and so we've affected their national security, just as the Russians did when they put missiles on Cuba in 1960, 61. And so they've taken steps, and we're now fueling this. So we do these things, and so we're setting ourselves up for conflict on a big scale with them. Taiwan's another possible flashpoint. Outside of anything we do, there are potential flashpoints between India and Pakistan, North Korea and heaven knows who else, and the Israelis and the others around them. So plenty of places where things are going to go wrong, and they're going to go wrong because we're a warlike race.
Geopolitics for you.
It's the way it goes. As if we could stop war or stop using the latest technologies, if we haven't done that as if we've ever done that in the past. So even a secularist can see things are going to come crashing down at some point. But the Catholic Church, being in this state it's in, is like a canary in the coal mine. A warning. Of course, atheists won't see this, but it needs to be seen, and there's prophecies too. St. Malachi, 1,000 years ago, 900 plus years ago, gave a list of all the popes, all the way from his time up to the last one, whom he called Peter the Roman, whom he said would be the Holy Father through the destruction of Rome, when he says the Holy City will be destroyed and the great Lord will come back.
Which book, sorry?
It's the prophecies of St. Malachi.
Oh, I thought you meant Malachi, like the Old Testament book. Like,
No.
I didn't read that.
No. This is the Bishop of Armagh in the 11th century, 12th century.
That would be quite cool that Malachi.
If Malachi said that, I would convert on the spot.
But it's like we can see though we're moving towards. Even if Malachi were wrong, his timing is very, very, very interesting because we are heading for trouble. And so the US has its bases in various parts of Italy. So we can see why Rome could be destroyed quite easily just on a secular analysis. And there are secularists who talk about it, like Peter Zeihan, and we're heading for disaster. So you go beyond that and you look at, you may not believe in Marian apparitions, you may not believe in Eucharistic miracles, but Marian apparitions have warned us, like for example, one of the most famous ones at Fatima in Portugal in 1917, on the eve of the Russian Revolution. Mary begins appearing allegedly to some children in Portugal and warns that the Pope must pray for the conversion of Russia, failing which Russia will spread her errors throughout the world. And the oldest of the girls, Lucia, she thought Russia was a woman. You must pray for the conversion of some woman, right?
Know what it was about.
They were village girls, they didn't know. And so, but this is a sign. Now, Pope Pius XII did the consecration in 1952, but on his own, and that may have had an impact because obviously the 50s were a very, very difficult time. The Russians got the nuclear
to Mary's heart.
Consecrate Russia to the Immaculate Heart of Mary.
Yeah.
Did he do that?
And yes, Pope Pius XII did it, but on his own, not with the bishops of the world. Then we get to Pope John Paul II, and he is shot in 1981, and he attributes his salvation, his failing to die, to Mary. Because it's on the anniversary of the first apparition at Fatima, May 13th, 1981, May 13th, 1917. So he goes and does the consecration, asking the bishops of the church to join him if they can, as Mary requested. This was 1982. No, it was so short notice, a lot of bishops didn't. So he did it again in 1984, and he gave plenty of notice. And soon after that, Gorbachev became the head of the Communist Party in Russia. And then Glasnost and Perestroika is instituted by Gorbachev, and we see the bloodless ending of the Soviet Union. But in 1965, the Blessed Virgin Mary said to some Spanish children, there will be a catastrophe when communism comes back. Now, communism was there embedded in 1965. It was not coming back, it had not gone away. But it did go away in the 90s. And it may well come back, and there's signs of it coming back in all kinds of sort of ways in our civilization, because whether you're Catholic or Protestant, that the people who are controlling our media, our civilization now, are cultural communists.
Cultural communism.
They are.
It's toxic.
A friend of mine said to me years and years ago, this is not about owning the means of production, distribution and exchange.
No,
it's about the culture, the values.
Breaking down the family.
You know,
This is
that's
something we
it.
can agree on.
Yeah, we can
So-
definitely agree on that.
So it's on its way back with us, and you know, whether it be Gorbachev, whose tanks eventually do roll across Europe because we've just behaved in a scandalous way, breaking our promise not to extend NATO east. Because we've done this, we could have had peace, you know, we could have had real peace,
But we held
but we lied. We promised we wouldn't do what we've done, and so
it's always getting
Yeah.
doing that.
But
God,
yeah. So I think, you know, when we look at the whole situation, the chastisement which is prophesied amongst our seers, because for us it's not just scripture, you know.
Yeah.
The Blessed Mother and Jesus himself speak to different generations of Christians, in every generation of Christian in fact. And we now have all these warnings. And so I think it's not long now